On July 6, 2023, as Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen started airing, aside from the highly anticipated storyline of Gojo and Geto's high school days, with much improved character design and animation, we also got to experience the newest opening theme, Where Are Blue Is by Kitani Tatsuya, which I'll be referring to by its Japanese title, Ao no Sumika, for reasons I'll explain later in the video. After the incredible theme songs of Season 1 and the Zero movie, it's natural to have unrealistically high standards for the follow-up. But Ao no Sumika easily went past and beyond people's expectations. It became one of the biggest anime and Japanese songs of 2023, despite appearing in only 5 episodes, and gave its singer-songwriter, Kitani Tatsuya, a much-deserved rise to mainstream success. In this video, I'm gonna talk about Kitani's creative process behind Ao no Sumika, how Eve's Kaisei Kitan and Yonetsu Kenshi's peace sign influenced his creation of the song, and break down some of its best lyrics that fit the tragic story of Gojo and Geto. Kitani Tatsuya is an unbelievably multi-talented Japanese singer-songwriter. He enjoyed decent success as a Vocaloid producer, which led him to meet Nabuna, the producer of Yorushika, and he became the supporting bassist for this insanely successful music unit, a role he still holds today. As a huge fan of rock, he had been part of several bands, including the criminally underrated Sajo no Hana. He's also made a name for himself by providing songs for many high-profile singers like Lisa, Hoshima Chisuise, and most recently, Ado. For anime fans, aside from Ao no Sumika, he's also known for songs like Scarf from Bleach and Fatal from Oshinoko Season 2. Unlike many musicians who focus solely on their music careers after high school, Kitani studied literature at the University of Tokyo, Japan's most prestigious and one of the world's top universities, which more than likely played a part in his development into one of Japan's finest songwriters, as I'll illustrate later in this video. One thing you should know about Kitani's music is that there's often a darker or more serious tone to it. So even before his tie-in with Jujutsu Kaisen, he already has quite a few songs that sound like its theme song. Many of his fans have left comments about hoping that he would collaborate with the anime, and he was low-key waiting for a call as well. Kitani is a huge fan of the manga, as he loves the author's way of articulating, the words he uses, and the texture of the manga's atmosphere. For him, even though Jujutsu Kaisen is known as an action fantasy manga, it's the nuance of human relationships that truly fascinates him, and the chapter that really dug deep into the emotions that lie between spoken and unspoken words is the Season 2 Hidden Inventory Premature Death arc. When approached by Jujutsu Kaisen's producers, they asked for a song that's more youthful and refreshing compared to the OP we've had so far, especially knowing Kinu would be at the helm for the second OP, but that made it quite difficult for Kitani to strike the right balance, given the anime's overall darker tone. Ultimately, he decided to capture the allegorical part of the arc story, the retrospection of youthful naivety. Since the first core is a flashback to Gojo and Geto's high school days, the theme of Ao no Sumika is about Gojo reminiscing, and us looking back on our youthful days from a grown-up perspective. Many of our troubles when we are young could have been avoidable or solvable had we been more mature. Even if we can't, we also have the mentality of it is what it is, which is shaped by our experiences. So looking back at these supposedly bad memories, there's often nothing more than just nostalgia. And the same can be said for our current struggles. As we learn from experience and grow wiser, someday we'll look back at the present through a different lens and see its purpose. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the two songs that influenced how Kitani approached Ao no Sumika were Eve's Kaisei Kitan and Yonetsu Kenshi's Peace Sign. The reason is that both Eve and Yonetsu Kenshi started their careers in the online space, so their earlier musical styles tend to differ from mainstream J-pop or rock. However, their approach to shonen anime songs was quite different from their norm. Instead of subcultural production and melodies, they opted for simpler, straightforward rock music. Obviously, they could still make incredible music without switching lanes, but anime songs are made for the viewers, and in the case of shonen manga, teenagers. So the fact that they can adopt the best method to maximize the synergy between anime and song to give the viewers the best experience possible, which means making different music than what they're known for or good at, really inspired Kitani to make the best possible song for Jujutsu Kaisen without letting his ego or habit get in the way. And despite learning that it's okay to keep it simple, Jujutsu Kaisen is not your typical shonen manga, it's darker and grittier. So even though the production wanted it to sound youthful for this specific arc, Kitani doesn't want the song to feel out of place compared to the rest of the anime. The solution he came up with is adding synth, samples, and sound effects to the otherwise simple rock track. There are mixes of whale sounds and infants' cries that have a primitive yet eerie texture, but it's not just about a darker tone. Since the song is about the past, He also wants to evoke a nostalgic feeling, so he added a sample of the Westminster Quarters, which is the quintessential schoolyard sound. Ao no Sumika is an amazing title that adds deeper meaning to the song itself. Ao is blue, but in this context, it's short for seishun, which means youth. Sumika means house or residence, so put together, it means where a youth resides. When a memory suddenly comes back to us, it's often because we're triggered by a certain object, song, place, or smell. It could be a baseball glove, golden hour, or the smell of grass. These things that hold a memory for us become Ao no Sumika, where our youth is. And that's why, despite Where Blue is being a very decent English title, some nuances could be missed without knowing its Japanese title. And now, let's move on to the lyrics. In a season of endless blue, there's nothing blocking the views of these four-leveled eyes. Asphalt reflecting the raining sounds of cicadas, the silence known as you becomes unhearable. The season of blue can be explained in two ways. For Gojo and Geto, or any teenager, youth feels never-ending and full of possibilities, despite being such a short period of time in our lives. Blue is also a huge visual of this arc, and a strong representation of summer, where the story takes place. The four-leveled eyes is such a great way to show where Gojo and Geto's relationship started out. Nothing can block the strongest duo standing side by side. Semishigure, the raining sounds of cicadas, is the traditional Japanese term used to indicate summertime. It's more commonly seen in haiku and literature, so naturally, Kitani, a Todai graduate, used it to add a touch of poetry to the song. However, things took a drastic turn as Gojo could no longer hear even the silence of Geto, showing how far they've drifted apart, both physically and emotionally. If the last few lines were Gojo's flashbacks, this must be the present, and most likely after Geto's passing, which makes the final line even more heart-wrenching. In the pre-chorus, even though I realized that you have a different scent from mine, it's such an interesting way to capture the moment Gojo found out about Geto going rogue. For all the ways to describe their differences, Kitani chose the word scent, something that's more subtle, showing Geto's slow and gradual fall. If you combine the final line of the pre-chorus with the chorus, left behind in the bottomless pit, even now the youth still reside. Even now, the youth is still clear. Although Gojo's time with Geto seems like a lifetime ago, the youth residing in those memories is still crystal clear. Kitani also added a wordplay, as the Japanese words for live and clear are homophonic. No matter the prayers or words, even though they draw near, they can never reach, showing the difference between the physical and emotional distance between Gojo and Geto by referencing the famous limitless technique is pure genius. The words that curse you are stuck in the back of my throat. Will we meet again? A voice that cannot be voiced. This is most likely a reference to Geto's final scene in Jujutsu Kaisen 0. A voice that cannot be voiced is also Kitani's emphasis on the importance of nuance. Recognizing the hidden meaning behind words and smiles is something you learn more about as you age. Looking back at the actions or words of others, the hidden messages were there all along. You just realize them days, years, or decades too late. In the bridge, the sorrow behind your smile, the fact that I didn't notice, I regret it to the fullest. Again, had it been Gojo of the present day, he would have noticed the tiny changes and negativity brewing within Geto, but he wasn't, and all he could do was regret. To you, who blossoms and scatters like transient flowers, goodbye. Adabana, or transient flower, is another instance of Kitani flexing his lyricism. A farewell to the short-lived yet beautiful friendship that didn't come into fruition the way Gojo had hoped. Ao no Sumika is a song about Gojo's past, more specifically, his reminiscing about his past. An OP made from Gojo's perspective, paired with an ED made from Geto's perspective, truly makes them the strongest duo. For Kitani, another purpose this song serves is to help him learn to appreciate the past and the naivety of youth. When you look back on the challenges you've endured and overcome in the past, they often feel trivial. So if you're going through a tough time right now, just know that someday, a wiser you will look back on this day as a distant memory and consider it nothing more than a minor inconvenience. Even the embarrassing memories that make you want to shriek in the middle of the night will change with a new perspective. Even though Ao no Sumika only appeared in 5 episodes, The way its relevance still rivals specials by King Nu just shows how much thought Kitani Tatsuya put behind it, and why it's one of the most iconic anime songs. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. This has been Cushion. See you next time.